Today we're going to do some ink refilling on my C6280 with a refillable ink cartridge system that I got for it. Our 6280 is sitting right here. And with a refillable ink cartridge system, this allows you to save money on your ink cartridges, as you can refill the ink cartridges yourself, and all you have to do is just buy the bulk ink bottle that you use to refill it with. And usually they're sold as a kit, so you get your cartridges for your printer that are refillable, you get some syringes, and you get the refillable ink bottles that you get the ink out of to put into the cartridges. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the fairly low empty cartridges out of the printer here, and we're going to refill it, and we'll go about how to do this and the safety precautions you should know about when working with printer ink and refilling it. So let me open up our printer here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a paper towel down, because this could get a little messy. And I've got about 3 cartridges here that need refilling. We're going to work on the cyan cartridge. So I pulled this one out, and it's fairly down. And here's our plug where I can pull that out and I can refill it. I stick the syringe in there with the ink, and then I create a vacuum. And the reason that I want to create a vacuum instead of trying to force the ink in there is because when you try to force the ink in there with a syringe, it's going to tend to get everywhere. When you pull the syringe off, it's going to end up spraying ink everywhere. So you want to pull back on that syringe when you have it in there and let the vacuum that you create draw the ink in, and you repeat that until all the ink has been pulled into the cartridge. So we're fairly low, as you can see there. And also, on some printers, they have chips that are in the cartridges that monitor how much ink has been used. With these are self-resetting chips. So they fool the printer into thinking that they've got ink in them all the time. So it's not going to lock out the cartridge on the printer for being used if it's got one of these auto-reset chips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the plug out here. There's our plug. And I'm starting to put some cyan on the paper towel. And like I said, this is one of the safety precautions you got to watch for, because printer ink can stain big time. If you get it on your clothing or any kind of surface, it's going to stay there permanently. So if you get this on your clothing, you cannot wash it out. It will be there for as long as you have that piece of clothing. So I've brought out my cyan bottle here of ink. I'm going to pull a syringe out, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull some ink into this. We're going to stick it into the fill port on the cartridge, and then we're going to pull back and create a vacuum and let it draw the ink in. So let me open up this bottle. This bottle has never been opened before, so there's probably a seal on it. And there is. I've already refilled the yellow ink cartridge in this printer because anyone knows with these HP PhotoSmart printers that the yellow ink cartridge tends to go first. So I don't know if I can pull this off. I may have to puncture it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to puncture this. Open there. How much time do I still have to make sure? I got plenty of time. Okay, we're going to stick our syringe down in there into the ink. We're going to pull some ink up. We're filling our syringe. You don't want to fill it all the way up. You only want to fill it some, because we want to be able to create that vacuum. I got ink in there. I'm going to set that aside. and stick this in the hole. This is where it starts getting a little messy because ink can start getting everywhere. I'm going to make sure that the syringe is in there, and it is. Now let's start creating a vacuum. Let it start pulling some of this ink in. See, we just sprayed some ink in there, creating a vacuum. We filled it some. Let's pull back and create some more. Pull back some more. Okay. So we put quite a bit of ink in there. It's filled up now. Let's pull it off. We'll go back in and draw some more ink out. Syringe back in. Okay. Pull back again, create a vacuum. Okay, our vacuum didn't work. It didn't work. You have to do it over. Pull too much ink in. Try this again. If the vacuum doesn't work, you're going to have to spit the ink back out into the bottle and do it over. You have to be really careful about that, because like I say, you don't want to force ink into the cartridge. You want to let the vacuum pull it in. Never pressurize the ink cartridge. And I got ink on my hand. That's not too good. See, I got ink on my hand. I can get that out with probably if I use soap vigorously, or if I use some thinner or something like that, it'll come off. It's not that problem when you get it on your hands, but you don't want to get it on anything like your clothing. Okay. I think that's enough ink in there. We'll put the rest of this into the cartridge, back into our bottle, and we'll put the plug back on. Get rid of this. And when we're done, we're going to wash the syringe out with water. That's what they tell you to do, is you want to clean that syringe out. And like I say, refilling ink cartridges, yes, it gets a little messy. Side will. Now, it's not going to leak back out. I'm just going to take our paper towel and clean the surface of it off. And put our plug back. That's the other tricky part, is getting these little rubber plugs back in there. Okay. And there we are. And there you go. We have refilled our cyan ink cartridge for our printer. And that's how it's done. And I can stick it right back in. And it's now fully reloaded with cyan ink. So I can do that with my other two cartridges. If this is just showing what those are, how you do it, and the precautions you should be aware about when doing this yourself. So I'll have to stop this video and clean up.